Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2024 UIW Men's and Women's Basketball Media Day. I'm your host, Blair Villarreal, and today I will be sitting down with head coaches Jeff Dow and Shane Heirman, along with players from each team. We're going to step away real quick, but when we return, I will be sitting down with Jeff Dow to get a preview on what to come for UIW Women's Basketball. Welcome back to the 2024 UIW Basketball Media Day, where we are here sitting down with head women's basketball coach Jeff Dow. Jeff, the team is coming off a 19-10 overall record this past year for the most wins in a D1 season. What were some of the takeaways you had this past season?
Well, obviously, it was very rewarding on several levels. I guess first and foremost, I would think about our senior class or what they accomplished. We had 6 seniors this past season, over 50% of our roster, and kind of going back to when they were freshmen, which was 2020-21, which is right when COVID was hitting. That particular year, we had 11 games canceled, 51 practices canceled. You know, we still found a way to qualify for the conference tournament, even though, again, we were playing a lot of freshmen at that time, and again, seniors last year. Sophomore year, 21-22, kind of jump-started the program a little bit with what they accomplished, that group, obviously winning the Southland Conference Championship and playing in the NCAAs. Then their junior year to win 15 games, obviously, again, largely in part because of that group, along with, Georgia Elliott, Kaylee Howe, Bree Sanborn, some new additions, but in that particular year, first winning season in program history, and then finally to culminate it, with what they accomplished last year, as seniors to, as you mentioned, to win 19 games, most overall wins in school history, most conference wins, specifically anytime you do something for the first time in program history, obviously it's pretty special, but we had 2 players named all conference. That was a first, a 7-game winning streak. That was, again, broke our record from the previous year, and then also set records for both points allowed defensively and field goal percentage defense. And our players would tell you we place a lot of emphasis on the defensive end. So again, just a very rewarding year all the way around, and certainly, felt good to kind of show the ascension that we have made over the course of our 5 years, but specifically in the last 4 years.
This season is that this team is going to have a lot of fresh new faces. I mean, y'all are bringing in 3 freshmen, 5 transfers. What do you hope to see from them this season, and how do you think they will make an impact on this team?
Well, I mean, we're certainly excited, about their arrival and their potential impact. But I would always say, the backbone or foundation of your program really should be your returning players. And, I've alluded to a few of those already, obviously in Myra Bell, Brenna Perez, Georgia Elliott, Bree Sanborn, Ramey McCrary, just to name a few. So certainly we're hoping that they, play up to an elevated role and they embrace that. But, out of necessity, clearly with the newcomers are going to have to step up. Unfortunately, quite a few of them have kind of been in and out with injuries, so we haven't totally seen what all they can do. But there was definitely a few that have stood out. Shiho Isono is a senior point guard transfer from Southern Utah. Bryn Lusby is a freshman, a true freshman. And then, although not a newcomer technically, Destiny Whitaker is a redshirt freshman, missed last year. So those, just to name a few that we think are going to have to play a pivotal role for us. And then again, hopefully when we get a few others that are healthy, we'll have a chance to see what they can do.
Yeah, as you're entering your 6th year at the helm of the UIW women's basketball team, how do you see this upcoming season differently than your previous 5 seasons with UIW?
Well, I mean, just kind of call it like it is. There is an element of it's a bit of a rebuilding year. I think it's very similar to kind of what happened in 2020, 2021. Our first year in 2019-20, a lot of seniors. We had arguably as good of a year as we've had. I mean, just with everything that accomplished in that first season. But we had 6 players, that had graduated that averaged over double-figure minutes. So that group that I just got, the senior group in this past year, they were all freshmen in 2020, 2021. Leaned on them heavily. Again, a lot of new faces, so it's probably going to have some similarities in that regard. I think that at the same time, not to get ahead of ourselves, obviously if we can put ourselves in a position to qualify to make the conference tournament, in the Southland Conference, a little bit unique, where only 8 of the 12 make the tournament. So if we can do that, be playing our best basketball, hopefully into late February into March, we'll give ourselves a chance. The one thing that the history of the Southland has shown, specifically on the women's side, I think it's been a really long time since the number 1 seed has ever actually won the tournament. So hopefully, if we can get there, and give ourselves a chance, and then who knows? But like I said, I think that's got to be sort of our end goal.
And Coach, to finally wrap up my slate of questions, what should Cardinal fans expect to see in the 2024-2025 season from UIW women's basketball?
Well, it's going to be, it might sound kind of cliche, but the sum has got to be greater than the individual parts. The majority of the teams in our league have at least 1, possibly 2 players that average over double-figure points. We do not. And we understand that, this is going to be a team that's going to have to rely heavily on being just that, a team. So a very balanced scoring attack, going to have to be great defensively, kind of challenge ourselves. I think we have the potential to be really good defensively with our length, physicality, athleticism, and that type of thing. It's probably going to be a night where routinely we have a different player lead us in scoring. I certainly can envision that. Might not have anybody that gets named all conference, but there's lots of ways to win. And like I said, we've got to have to kind of buy into that. I think we're learning. We're only 12 practices in at this point. We've made a lot of improvement in the last couple of days, so that's certainly encouraging as well. But I think fans have grown to expect that we're going to compete and we're going to play hard. We're going to defend. I think the other coaches in the league would agree with that assessment, that we'll give ourselves a chance just on that alone. And like I said, hopefully that like I said, the returning players are step up, have a little bit more, are able to contribute a little bit more than what they have in years past. And they said obviously some of the newcomers seize the opportunity as well.
Are there any media questions for Coach Dow?
Coach Dow, Morgan Weezer, Logos Media. I just got to ask you, 5 players or 6 players from last year's team are returning. How vital is that for the incoming freshmen to learn off of them, and especially the new transfers as well?
It's huge. They obviously have to set the tone, lead by example every single day. They obviously know our system inside and out. They know the verbiage. They know the drills. They know the key points of emphasis, with what we do offensively, defensively. Somebody like Myra Bell and Brenna Perez, 2 players that by the end of their season this year, they're going to go down as the all-time winningest players, in Division I history at UIW. We'll see a year or 2 from now if Georgia Elliott and a few of the others are able to surpass that. But they played a lot of basketball, had a lot of practices under their belt. Even if they're not necessarily the most vocal, and they're growing into those roles, I think the returning players, just, again, leading by example, showing the new players how it's done, I think is huge. And we're going to be leaning very heavily, on those guys. We already are, but definitely throughout the season. And they get it. They understand the routine of what we do, from scouting reports to shoot-arounds to, the film edits, everything that we do. And we're going to need a lot, and we're going to ask a lot of them.
And then who are some of the new transfers that Cardinal fans should be excited to watch this season?
At this point so far, in terms of the transfers, Shiho Isono, as I mentioned, from Japan, point guard, transferred from Southern Utah, can make a lot of plays off the dribble, great with the no-look passes and that type of thing. And she's, obviously being new, she's kind of just trying to figure it out, especially on the offensive end. Again, unfortunately, we've kind of been some setbacks with injuries, but Grace O'Kee, post player by way of Nigeria, but went to Jacksonville College, junior college, I think can give us when she gets healthy and start practicing on a regular basis, a low post presence that maybe we haven't had in a few years. And then Deja Lumsden, an athletic wing from Weatherford Junior College. Again, somebody that I think is capable of making plays on both ends of the floor.
The last 2 years, you guys have had first round exits in the tournament. What do you guys have to do as a staff and as a team overall to get over that hump?
Well, first of all, as I mentioned earlier, we got to get there. Let's make sure that we're playing, in mid-March, and that whether there's a bye or not a bye, we got to get there. Let's get to the conference tournament. The conference is probably as deep as it's ever been, in part because obviously you've added Stephen F. Austin, a traditional power in women's basketball, UT Rio Grande Valley, and along with the other 10 schools that are coming back. The advent of the portal has really kind of changed things, for a lot of the programs, ourselves included, in terms of the makeup of everybody's roster. I have certainly given some thought as to, we feel like we've kind of stubbed our toe, and meaning no disrespect at all to Texas A&M Commerce. They legitimately beat us, in those first round games the last couple of years, but, maybe changing our approach a little bit in terms of the lead up, the practices going into that game. It's going to be very unique this year. I believe we finish, I want to say Saturday, March 1st, if I have my dates correct. The tournament doesn't open until March 10th. So it's a very long stretch, which is good and bad. You can get a lot of practices in. You can also get a lot of rest in and hopefully some recovery in that regard. So, but definitely if we get to that point, that's a good thing. If we know we're playing on March 10th, we'll take it. But we'll definitely try to tweak a few things of what we've done in the past.
About an hour or two ago, and last question for me. About an hour or two ago, it was announced that the NLI was eliminated from college sports. So for you, how's that benefit you, or how's that a negative, and how can you overcome those type of challenges?
Yeah, I haven't really wrapped my head around that. I'd heard that there was a possibility of that happening. I guess I'm lukewarm on that. Maybe I'm, old school traditionalist going in, 35 years of coaching college women's basketball. So I'm kind of accustomed to, the national letter of intent and what that entails. But I think it's probably a byproduct, again, because of all the transferring that's taking place and the portal, that it was probably inevitable that the NCAA was going to go that route.
Hi, Matthew Falatich, UIW TV News. First off, Coach Dow, congratulations on your 6th season with the university.
Thank you.
Going off of that, you've been here for 6 seasons. I apologize for the mic.
You're good.
You've been here for 6 seasons. Over the 6 seasons, what aspects of play have you seen improve just with players and with seasons? Obviously, you're not having every single team member come back from each season.
Right.
But what aspects have you seen players really improve on as you've continued being here for the past 6 seasons?
Right. Well, I guess a couple things that immediately come to mind, and only because as I said earlier, if we keep re-breaking, certain records, that's a good thing. Our turnover numbers have gone down the last couple of years. That's always a good thing. It means you're getting more shots up, you're turning it over less. So that's going to continue to be a point of emphasis for us. I think defensively, points per game allowed. In the 5 years that we've been here, I think we broke the record 4 times. So again, we made a little bit of improvement each year, which it's not a coincidence. We've won more games, but because we've gotten better defensively and turned it over less. This past year, we set a record for free throw percentage for UIW, led the league in free throw percentage. I think that was Southland Conference games, and if I'm not mistaken, the year before. We set a record for three-point shooting. I believe it was percentage and makes, and led the league. So, all things that have us pointed in the right direction. You want it all as a coach. You'd like to be great at every single thing, but it's good to see that we're trending in the right direction in all of those areas.
You talk about some of seeing the changes over the years. You've obviously been here when UIW announced that it was going to WAC, but then it backtracked, and you talked a bit in the back about how the Southlands changed a bit. Going off of that, for how tough compared to the past few years you've been here, how tough is the schedule for this year compared to the previous years?
Yeah, obviously a lot of conference realignment. I'm not going to lie to you. I had my doubts about ever making the move to the WAC. I didn't think it necessarily made a lot of sense for UIW just with the travel alone and a variety of other reasons. So it is kind of ironic that it might not be long and the WAC could be disbanding, literally in a matter of weeks, and some of those schools might be coming back to the Southland. To answer your question about the schedule, somewhat daunting. It's quite frankly, it's a byproduct of being at a low mid-major or being at UIW. We opened the season with two Big 12 opponents at Texas Tech, at Baylor. 3 days after that. A couple of weeks after that, we play at TCU. Good chance that TCU and Baylor will both be ranked in the top 25 in the country. So that certainly gets your attention, before we've ever played a conference game. But nonetheless, those were, fun games that can compete. This past year, we were, I think, down 2 at the half to TCU, ended up losing by 6. And then a few years before that at Baylor, I think we were down like 4 or 5 points at the half. They eventually pulled away a little bit, but so we've had our moments, obviously, but and then we have some other, Prairie View A&M returns to us. They're typically a pretty competitive program in the SWAC. Abilene Christian is coming to us this year as well, and of course that's an old Southland Conference member, and they might be returning to the Southland here in a year from now, so we'll see. But certainly should get us prepared. The conference, unique with 20 conference games. Typically you have 18 or 16 or what have you, but obviously we have 12 teams in the league. So again, Stephen F. Austin, as I mentioned earlier, has always been a perennial 20-win team. So that was, our first year here, it may be as big as any regular season win that we've ever had, beating SFA for those that are knowledgeable about women's basketball in the Southland. A lot of faces have changed since then, but excited to have them back in the league, as well as UT Rio Grande Valley. Obviously, geographically, that made a lot of sense for them to come to the Southland.
I said it also. It's very good that they're here. I'm a Valley kid, so
Okay.
I grew up in the Valley, so I understand what you're saying. Last question I have, kind of going off of the schedule. You talk about the transfers, a lot of transfers and new freshmen. Do you think that the toughness of the schedule is an impact in the dynamic and chemistry between the team, especially? As you said, this is a different schedule, of course, 20 conference games. Do you think that with the injuries, some players not being here, do you think that's going to impact player chemistry at the beginning and middle of the season?
No, I don't think it's going to adversely affect us, at all. I mean, it's just, I don't have a crystal ball to know, hopefully the injuries, like I said, we're close, on a few people returning. That's one of the things that I have said, that I do feel like if everybody's healthy, and playing their, I guess, as I say, their best version of themselves, that arguably we could have more depth than what we have in the last couple of years. We might not have, stars per se that are, first team or all conference or second team all conference, but just the overall depth could be better, a little bit longer and more athletic than maybe what we've been. But again, a lot of that just kind of remains to be seen. We've got a lot of games in November. It's unique. We have a conference game on December 7th. I think that's the earliest we've ever started conference play. So those games in November will go a long ways, I think, to kind of shaping our roster and certainly getting us prepared for Southland play. You're welcome.
Thank you, Coach Dow, for your time, and we cannot wait to see this team in action this season. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I will be chatting with women's basketball players Myra Bell and Georgia Elliott. Welcome back to the 2024 UIW Basketball Media Day, where we are now joined by two players from the UIW women's basketball team, grad student number 5, Myra Bell, and junior number 32, Georgia Elliott. Myra, as you enter the 2024-2025 season as a fifth year and one of the veteran leaders on this team, what are some goals that you have both individually and as a team?
Individually, I would say I'm just looking to expand on my game and leave a long-lasting impression on the UIW women's basketball program. And as a team, I would say we're just looking to improve and build on what we have in the past years. We've done nothing but improve since I've been at UIW, so I would say that we're looking to do the same thing this year.
Georgia, you are coming off an impressive sophomore season, 9 double-digit scoring games, averaging about 8 points and 4.1 rebounds per game. How are you looking to improve your game physically and mentally this year?
I'd say this year I want to try to be a more consistent player on the court. Over the last couple years, I've learned a lot. So as I'm getting older, I kind of want to be smarter about things I do and also help the new girls and kind of be there for them as much as I can, like how Brenna and Myra did when my freshman class came in. They helped a lot, so I've kind of learned from them on that.
Myra, the schedule is very, very long, and there's a lot of matchups. You have both non-conference and conference play. Are there any matchups you are looking forward to playing in your final year?
I would say in my final year, I'm looking towards playing HCU. I have a best friend who just transferred there. Her name is Tiffany Tullis. We haven't played against each other, let alone with each other in a while, so I think it would be fun to play against her for my last year. And I'm also really looking forward to playing Southeastern. It's always a really exciting matchup when we play them, so, looking forward to that.
Georgia, this team accomplished a lot last year. What would you like to see the team accomplish this year?
Of course, winning is always great. And it's already been a fun start to the season, as we've kind of started to get to know each other and play with each other more. And so I would say just having a smooth season, hopefully healthy players and stuff, and winning as much as we can and having as much fun as we can together.
Are there any media questions for Myra and Georgia?
Myra, Georgia, and Matthew Faltich, UIW Team News. One, congratulations on coming back for this season. This is a question actually for both of you, if one of you want to take it or both of you want to take it. You talk about coming back as a senior and a junior. How has the experience of collegiate basketball, coming from however long you've done basketball, how is the grind of the season as well as more conference games? Is it something that you really you enjoy the grind, or do you not, or what do you enjoy about the experiences you've had here at UIW and collegiate basketball?
I would say if you love basketball, you're gonna love the grind, regardless of how long you've been playing. And I think I can speak not only for myself but for Georgia as well, that we enjoy the grind, and we think that playing this long in collegiate basketball has really helped us develop not only as players but as human beings and as people. And I think we just really appreciate the opportunity that we've been given to play basketball for this long.
Mm-hmm. And I'd also say our coaches make a good point to make our team a family and stuff, and they want to teach us about more than just basketball, and they help us with things outside as well. So they do a good job of being there for us in all aspects of our lives.
Last question before I hand it off. You all are now with the transfers and the freshmen coming in. You're kind of the elder statesman of the team in a way now. What have you seen from the newcomers this year, and what kind of guidance have you given them in practice and all that sort of stuff?
Seeing the newcomers come in and just really seeing their skill set, I think we're going to have a really physical team. I think we're in some ways a lot bigger than what we have been, and I think that's going to help us in best ways possible. And just giving them, I feel like for me personally, giving them the best guidance I can, and being a fifth-year senior and making sure I'm positive and just giving positive reinforcement and feedback, because I was once there. Sometimes I didn't always have positive feedback, so being able to now step into that positive leadership role and being able to step in when I need to, even before the coaches need to. I just feel like that's really helped me not only as a leader, but I feel like it's also helped my teammates, not only the returners but the newcomers as well, just getting into their role and figuring out what their role is on the team.
Yeah, I think a lot of our new players have their own game, and it adds a lot of character to our team. And so I think them embracing that will really help us kind of get along in the season and stuff. So I'm excited for that.
Myra, Georgia, you guys are Myra, you're going into your last year. Georgia, you're going into your junior year. So just going off of that, who are some of the incoming transfers and freshmen that you've been really impressed with so far?
You can go
I
first.
mean, it has been kind of difficult. There have been a lot of injuries, so I would like to play with them more. I mean, I will throughout the season, but so far, someone I see myself playing with a lot is Shiho. She's a very interesting player. She's saucy, I guess, as Coach Dow says sometimes. She's just very flashy, and her plays always are kind of like interesting and cool, and so I like watching her play and stuff.
And then Myra, for you, Coach Dow's coming back for another year. So for you, how I guess how easy is it for you to have a returning head coach? How much easier is that for you as a player to have a head coach?
I think it's great that, to have a returning head coach. Personally, I don't think that I would have stayed if Coach Dow would have left. So being able to still have him here and helping me know the system and even improving on things that I should have learned or am relearning as I'm coming back as a fifth-year senior, it's great. I'm super, super happy that he's back. So, shouts out to Coach Dow.
Georgia, same question for you. How rewarding or how easy is it for you to have Coach Dow back for another year?
It's great. I mean, me and him have a lot of jokes and stuff like going on all the time. So every day it's something new. Like every time we go into practice, it's good vibes and everything. And he's there for us as a coach all the time. So I'm excited for this season, just like the last two.
Alrighty, that's it.
Thank you, Myra and Georgia, for your time, and good luck this season. We're going to step away for a quick break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to shift our focus to men's basketball right after this. Welcome back to the 2024 UIW Basketball Media Day. Our next guest is entering his second season at the helm of the UIW men's basketball team, head coach Shane Heirman. Coach, as you enter year 2 at UIW, what are you hoping to accomplish this season?
Yeah, so year 1 was about building a foundation and really laying that structure in place and letting everybody understand the standards and expectations of which we're going to operate. And I felt like we did a really good job. We moved the needle in regard to how we're going to go about our business and how we're going to live our lives. And so moving into year 2, we have some really important foundational pieces that came back, some really significant contributors from last season's team, mixed with some really talented transfers. So I think the makeup is really exciting to have a great progression into year 2.
Just to add on to that, what do you think will be different about this team compared to last year's team?
I think there's a legitimate connectivity with this team. I think we've been able to get older. And anytime you have the ability to get older in college basketball and college athletics in general, you tap into experience. And so people have been through it already. You've kind of seen the pitfalls. You know what works, what doesn't. And so when you have the ability to get older, a little bit more cohesive, I think those are the things that will transfer onto the court.
You know, you just mentioned that you're bringing in a lot of transfers. You and your staff have brought in an impressive recruiting class over the summer with freshmen and transfers. How do you see them making an impact to the team this year?
Oh, significantly. Yeah. So we were really fortunate. Our staff did a tremendous job in the offseason of identifying some people that really fit the core values of the program and how we're trying to advance this program. Some really talented ones that spurned off some high major schools and had high major options. And so for them to be here and on campus and working has been awesome. And then to be able to see them invest in UIW, but in the basketball program specifically, has been tremendous, because we're talking about, really high talent players, but we're talking about great people that have really contributed and set the tone in regard to work ethic and how we're going to go about living our lives every day. And so they've been great ambassadors, and I'm really looking forward to seeing their impact this year.
You know, after being at the helm of the Cardinals for your first season last year, you mentioned that you're still trying to rebuild this program, make it the best it can be. How do you think this season will be different than last year?
Yeah, again, I would tap into the connectedness. I think our staff has made a tremendous emphasis on really investing into the student athlete and the experience and taking a little bit of the pressure off performance. And so I think the more that we can truly invest in these people and who they are and their lives, and the more that we can really understand who they are, what they're trying to achieve, how they're trying to achieve it, the more the productivity and the performance will uptick. And so I think our staff, we have a new staff too that has been assembled, and I think it's really geared towards investing in these young men. And I think it's already transferred into being able to see a different product on the floor. So I'm really excited about this group and can't wait to get started.
And Coach, to wrap up my slate of questions, we've seen you and your staff gain a lot of experience from the transfer portal. Can you also touch on the importance of your returners and how they will help build this program? Yeah,
I mean, you're going to hear from a gentleman here in a second, Dylan Heirman. When I'm talking about significant contributors from last season's team, I'm not just talking about points and minutes. I'm talking about people that foundationally understand what we're trying to do culturally every single day, the volume of which we are supposed to have at practice, the competitiveness, the energy, the enthusiasm. And it's moved to the point where Dylan, TJ Ford, Marcus Glover, some of these returners are coaching the new guys. And when you have your players coaching the team instead of the coaches, that's when there's a real shift in culture. And that's where this experience and this blendedness of talent really matters and is going to transfer to some exciting basketball.
Are there any media questions?
Coach Heirman, Morgan Weezard, Logos Media. I got to ask you, going into year 2, what is something that you learned about yourself as a person and as a head coach that you didn't know from last year?
Great question, Morgan. I would say I was really, we play sports. We love it, right? But there's this urgenciness. There's this competitiveness that you want it now. You want it to happen now. And I think I had that mentality going into year 1 and probably put too much pressure on myself, my staff, the players. We were in a build, right? We had to start this thing from scratch. And so it was going to take time, and we couldn't skip steps. And so I think I've learned how to be more patient, teach better, understand our players better, And so it was a great experience for me last year. I think we kind of went through everything you could probably go through in a season, which was awesome. At times it's challenging, but retrospectively looking back, man, it's grateful. You're grateful that you experience it all, and it gives you these shared experiences that you can transfer into year 2 and feel really more confident about yourself, your staff, and your team.
You alluded to earlier that you had to reassemble your staff. So just going off of that, how rewarding is it for you as a coach to see your players buy in so early on, even before the season has even started?
Yeah, and we had a great staff last season, and some different guys had different, parting ways in different ways. But we've been able to attract a phenomenal staff that I'm so grateful for. And part of the reason our players have bought in so early, and if you came to our practices, you can hear it, you can feel it, is because of the staff. They're spending a lot of time with our players. The thing that I would tell you about our staff versus a lot of others, and we're not in everybody else's gym, but I know we invest in our guys. I know we're spending an enormous amount of time with our guys. And I think that's a separator. So I think that allows these guys, our players, to have a different level of buy-in and a different level of trust with our staff.
Last year, you guys played fast, physical pace of offense, defense, whatever it is on the floor. Just how have you seen that come together, especially with 8 new guys coming into the season?
Yeah, and we're 11 practices in, so there's still, we're still implementing style. We're still trying to figure out pieces and who plays well together, and so there's still a lot to learn about our group right now. We still got 25 days or so left until tip-off. So we're still navigating who needs to do what, figuring out roles. But what you can see is them buying into it. You can see the speed. You can see the communication. You can see some of the discipline starting to emerge. And so those are all things from a coaching perspective you're excited about. And so the more we continue to hone in on it, the more we work on it, the better it'll get.
And how vital is it for guys like Dylan Heirman return to teach the new guys like Jordan Pike, Tatis Marcus, and Jalen Anderson? Your kind of style of play, your system. How vital is it to have a guy like Heirman back?
Oh, it's crucial. It's crucial. And as this program advances into being something that I think everybody will be proud of in this community, I think everybody will look back and attribute it to Dylan and what he was able to invest in, how he was able to invest in, how he cared for people and how he treated people, how he acted in the community, and how he ran things and was going to imprint himself into practice, into the game. And so I think, to be able to have somebody with those leadership qualities, with that buy-in level, is tremendous, and it's always what coaches want and dream about.
And then last question for me. Who are some of the players that Cardinal fans should be excited to see next season?
Yeah, we have 2 transfers from Ball State that are extremely explosive. Both of whom averaged almost 15 points a game last season at a really good level in a really good league. Jalen Anderson, a lead guard who's as good as anyone in the country and turned down offers from the Big Ten to be here, and is extremely explosive. I'd put him up as the best lead guard in our league for sure. And so to be able to have that and have that confidence moving into year 2 is a big deal. And then Davion Bailey, a guy that shot almost 44% from 3 on a lot of attempts last season. That's an elite number. Jordan Pike, an explosive athlete that Ball's Life ranked as the #1 Division II transfer. We had Jaden Williams, who at one point was a top 15 recruit in the country. And early as, a month before we got him, had Georgetown, Auburn, SEC offers. And so we've amassed a lot of really unique talent. Mintas, who you mentioned, is a transfer from UCF who can really shoot it, can really play in space, really skilled basketball player. So you have a Big 12 transfer coming in. So we've upticked our talent in a major way that I think Cardinal Nation will be really excited about. But the thing I'll tell you, even more so than the talent, we've upgraded our character. And that wasn't easy to do, but we made it an emphasis in recruiting that we were going to really identify people, because Incarnate Word is different. It's unique. There's service hours components. This is not a place for everybody. There's academics that you have to be, punctual, everything. This is a unique campus, and we're proud to be a part of it. And so we had to really identify people that could fit the core values of the university and our program to be able to advance it. But we're excited. We got a great group, and I can't wait to get started.
Coach Heirman, Matthew Faltich, not ESPN, that's my old job. UIW TV News, first off, congratulations on coming back for a second season. You talk about the bringing in transfers and recruiting. Your first season, you had about 80% of the team was brand new, like they had not been to UIW. Do you think that for this season, of course, you're talking about, staff changes as well. Do you think that the changes, like with the massive amounts of changes, not massive in terms of just overall, but just the numbers wise, do you feel that the chemistry between the team as well as the coaches and in general, how do you feel that the chemistry is between everybody throughout the team?
Yeah. So in today's era in the transfer portal, there's obviously there's a lot of turnover, right? It's become the norm. It's commonplace, and so I actually think we're probably on the higher end percentage-wise of returning individuals, players. And so every year you're going to have to navigate this. You're going to have to build camaraderie. We spent a lot of time in the summer getting to know each other. We brought in a specialist that did personality assessments so that we could even further understand who our guys are, who our staff is. We could learn each other's communication style preferences so that we can better reach each other. And I think when you do that, when you invest in time outside of the basketball, you can really understand somebody's why, their experiences, see how you can draw into each other. That's how you create connectedness. And so, it's a hard job every year because of the amount of turnover, but it's an awesome challenge. And I think this group in particular has done an incredible job of buying in and really creating some lasting relationships.
You talk about the character and, of course, the connectedness and bringing people in. The events, of course, of last semester, there was the highs and there were some lows, obviously both just with media in general and other issues. Do you think, how confident are you with addressing those concerns and addressing, of course, character and building that up with, as you said, UIW's unique position with service hours? How do you feel that the players have responded, not just the returning ones, but as well as the ones that you have brought in, the newer ones?
Yeah, again, we've attracted some really high-level people, and we had really high-level people last year. So I'm really proud of the experiences that we all went through. I'm proud of how we responded to them. It's a great time to be here. These guys have adopted an attitude of gratitude, and being able to see them display that on a daily basis is refreshing for me. I get excited as a coach, waking up in the morning, getting to coach this group. So I'm, again, really turning the page and looking forward to this season and really excited about the guys that are here.
Last question. I asked this to Coach Dow when he was here. You've seen a lot of changes in the Southland, and obviously there are going to be changes potentially soon with WAC potentially shuttering. Do you think that the schedule that you all have, not only how do you feel about the toughness and the grit of the schedule, but do you also think that for future seasons, the changes coming from not just the transfer portal, but also with new members coming into the conference and more conference games and potentially changes to how those and the conferences work, do you think that that puts a bit more pressure on how the team functions in their play, as well as the mentality and their priorities?
So as the schedule comes about, we tried to challenge ourselves in the non-conference. We have a marquee game at Duke on December 10th that is obviously a coveted game by everybody in the country, and so to be able to secure that, it's a big deal for our program. And so we really wanted to challenge ourselves in that non-conference to see how ourselves would emerge into the conference play. But as realignment happens, it's going to be an ongoing thing year to year. And so the best thing you can do is just continue to prepare and do the best job you can possibly do, and put yourself in the best possible situation to have success. And we do that by spending a ton of time with our guys and investing in our guys, in creating connectedness and a culture that we're proud of. So, yeah.
Thank you, Coach Heirman, for your time. We cannot wait to see this team in action this season. We're going to take our final break, but when we come back, I will be sitting down with men's basketball players Dylan Heirman and Jalen Anderson. Welcome back to the final segment of the 2024 UIW Basketball Media Day. I am here with two players from the UIW men's basketball team, senior number 2, Dylan Heirman, and grad transfer number 1, Jalen Anderson. Dylan, you come off an impressive junior season last season, averaging 13 points in the last 12 games, recording 16 blocks, which was the 24th most in the Southland Conference, and you were a key player both offensively and defensively. What do you hope to accomplish this season?
Yeah, I think this year Shane harps on it a lot. Just how much can you contribute to winning? I think that's the main thing that goes through my head whenever I practice or play a game for him. Just for me, it's not about the stats or how much I play in a game. It's just if I have to score 15 or if I'm not playing that game, whatever we can do to win the game or contribute to winning, that's what I'm focused on.
Jalen, as one of 5 new transfers on this team, how do you see yourself making an impact on this program?
Well, I'm a vet, so I've been in this college basketball for some time. So I'm enjoying the process so I can bring leadership, a sense of, calmness because of my experience. Yeah.
Dylan, as one of the senior leaders on this team, how do you view this team coming from a leadership perspective?
I think this team has a great sense of togetherness, which makes it a lot easier to be a leader on this team. Like me and Jalen and DB are some of the older guys. I think the team responds a lot a lot better to leadership based on their togetherness. It doesn't feel like people are attacking each other because we just have like such a strong bond with each other. So I think that makes it a lot easier to be a leader on this team.
Jalen, coming from Ball State, where you averaged 15.8 points, 4.6 rebounds, and 4.5 assists while shooting 35.7% from deep and knocking down 53s last season. How has Coach Heirman and the rest of the coaching staff helped you to continue to improve your game?
Oh, he's helping me be a pro before I become a pro. From the finite details of knowing what to eat, knowing how to eat, when to eat, having a routine and sticking to it. So that's the biggest thing he's really helping me with.
Are there any media questions?
Dylan, Morgan Weezar, Logos Media. I got to ask you, going into your final season, what are some personal accomplishments as well as team accomplishments that you want to have?
I think the biggest team accomplishment this year we're looking to is just get deep in the Southland Conference tournament and win it. I think it's everyone's goal every year is to make it to March Madness. So that's our main goal this year. And then personal, just get better every day, whether it be practice or a game. Just improve on what I did last year, whether that be shooting or rebounding. Just what I'm focused on.
And obviously, there's a lot of new guys on this team. So for you, how rewarding is it as a player to see the buy-in so early?
It's really great. I mean, it just makes everything a lot easier. If you got guys going against everyone else, then it just makes practice just a drag every day. But we have all guys rowing in the same direction, and that just frees everyone up to play basketball and not think about getting on guys for going against the program.
And then for the both of you, who are some of the new guys that you've been really impressed with, whether it's a transfer or a incoming freshman or something like that along those lines?
I mean, this guy sitting next to me is the best point guard I've ever played with, so just start there. And then Davion Bailey, coach touched on it, the best shooter I've ever played with. So, I mean, our staff did a great job bringing in guys this year, and just a lot of talent on our team.
Obviously for you, Dylan, you're in the second year with Coach Heirman at the helm. So what have you learned from him that you're gonna carry on for the rest of your life?
That list could go on for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Shane's taught me so much, whether it be basketball or life, but I think just putting yourself in adverse situations and those situations where you find out who you really are. And I think Shane helps us get there, and then we find out who we are. So I think that can go basketball or life. Life's going to throw a lot of curveballs at you, and Shane just taught us all, me especially, how to handle just everyday stuff.
Jalen, for you, what are some personal goals as well as team goals that you want to accomplish this season?
One, I want to be the Southlands Conference Player of the Year. I feel like I'm very well capable of doing it. And 2, winning the whole conference, going to March Madness. I haven't been yet, so that'll be a great goal to do.
You're in your first year with the UIW Cardinals, so you're in your few months here. What has impressed you about Coach Heirman and his staff?
Their togetherness, the willingness to want us to get better, this time spent that they spend with us. Those two things for sure.
Who are some of the guys, whether it's transfers or freshmen, that you've been really impressed with in practice?
Davion Bailey, TJ Ford, Harrison Reedy, Jordan Pike, my whole team, I'm very impressed. Jordan Williams, very impressed with him as well.
Guys, I have it's an interesting question. So you talk about, of course, you're a vet, and you're coming back out, Dylan, for another season. Coach Heirman brought this up in his statements about the uniqueness of UIW, of course. Do you feel that the campus connection, as well as just overall UIW's interesting makeup with students and different backgrounds, do you think that helps in kind of getting newer players like you, Jalen, more accustomed to UIW, not just on the court, but also off of it once you're out of practice? Do you think that just overall campus vibes help with getting players in a better mentality once they get ready to get into the games?
Yeah, I think UIW has a great community feel. So once you're out of practice, whether it be professors or other classmates, you really feel like accepted, and that people can like understand that you maybe just got out of practice, you might be sore, you might be tired, might have to miss class or something. So I think the whole school really like helps their student athletes get used to their schedule, and they accept them for like they might be busy or whatever. So I think the school does a good job at supporting us.
Jalen, same question to you, of course, as
luckily,
coming into this.
Yeah, luckily I'm a grad, so I'm not really on campus that much. But in the CAF, I'm around a lot of people, so they make me feel welcome here.
Mm-hmm. Last question for you, Dylan, specifically. You're coming back. Obviously, you had a really good season last year, stats-wise, as well as just from how you were playing on the court as well. Just from anybody who not looking at stats, but just looking from the eye. What improvements are you looking at for yourself to improve on this year, both with the team, but just for you personally, for your skills?
Yeah, I didn't shoot it as well as I would like to last year, so I think my 3-point percentage needs to go up this year, and I'm always looking to rebound more. So however many rebounds I can get, that's what I want to do.
Thank you.
Dylan and Jalen, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck this season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to take one last final break, but when we come back, I will wrap things up here for UIW Basketball Media Day. Welcome back to our final segment here of the 2024 Basketball Media Day here at UIW. We're going to wrap things up here, but I want to say thank you so much to our viewers here on YouTube for watching us and getting ready for the upcoming basketball season. Be sure to come out to the McDermott Center on Friday, November 8th as the men take on Nelson University. And we'll have their home opener on Monday, November 11th. I'm Blair Villarreal, and I am signing off here from the Student Engagement Center at UIW.